What's up, guys? It's the Odd Man thinking about stereotypes today, because stereotypes are the way that the media and the political class manipulates all of us. And I believe it was Walter Lippmann who came up with the term stereotype. And Lippmann, his kind of early endeavors was looking at the public and figuring out ways that the government could manipulate us as a whole, because he believed that we weren't intelligent enough to figure out what was right and wrong on our own. And Lippmann worked with Edward Bernays on the Committee on Public Information, which was the Ministry of Truth. Really, that's what it was in the build-up to World War I. So they worked for Wilson. They had to talk the American people into their sacrifice of going along with a war to end all wars. It's supposed to be the war, for democracy, saving democracy. And nowadays you hear that same term, saving democracy, even among the so-called conservatives. It's all a farce. But anyway, it was supposed to be the war to end all wars, and it was the war that began all wars. But it also taught the government and all their different advisors and different people how to talk the American people into doing things that we normally wouldn't want to go along with. And they used the most basic of manipulational tools at their disposal. And so they prey on our weaknesses, they prey on our likes, our dislikes, they create scenarios. Many of you have heard of the Hegelian Dialectic, and it's basically problem, reaction, solution. So a lot of times they'll present a problem. It doesn't even have to necessarily be a real problem, just so they can get the public to beg for help so they can implement the exact solution that they wanted to implement all along. It's a tale as old as time. It probably began way before Hegel, but that's where they got it. And so they use these basic stereotypes to manipulate us at every turn, because they know now better than ever what we like and what we dislike, thanks to social media. And this is both parties. It doesn't matter, because I'm sorry to break it to all the party boys, but these politicians don't give a crap about liberal or conservative, Democrat or Republican. They care about what they can do using those labels to manipulate us. And I think that we're seeing the most manipulation in the history of America and the history of the world, thanks partly to technology and social media. So I think that if people would look into Edward Bernays' book, Propaganda, if they would look into Walter Lippmann's books, Public Opinion and Phantom Public, and these other books, look at how they figured out over 100 years ago how they could manipulate the masses into doing exactly what they want them to do. It's where the Germans got it. We always hear about German propaganda, Nazi propaganda. They were reading Bernays. They were reading Walter Lippmann. Lippmann, by the way, was one of the founding members of the Council on Foreign Relations. So that's something to talk about with your family, with your friends. Talk about it with your younger people in your family, your teenagers. Get them to read propaganda. There was a great book, I think it was called Century of Self. Excuse me, not book, it was a documentary. I think it was like a 4-part documentary a few years ago, Century of Self, and it focused on Edward Bernays and his uncle Sigmund Freud, because Bernays is the one who made his books famous, his uncle's books here in the States. Otherwise, we may not have even known very much about Sigmund Freud. He used those tactics and some of the things that Freud taught in his wacky research, his perverted research, in his own books that were geared towards showing how the public can be manipulated, and they just tricked basically into doing whatever the people in power wanted them to do, because they believe that they're the intelligent ones, that they know what's going on, that they know what's best for us. And it's really, if you believe in the founding ideas of America and all that, it really goes against all of that. And that's kind of where we are today with technology, mass manipulation at every turn. And the truthers, they're so paranoid that anybody that gets a little attention, they call them controlled opposition. And we have a good right to be paranoid with all of the things that we've seen in the last 30 years and especially all the things we've seen since social media, because we see how easily the masses are manipulated, how easily they are fooled by charismatic leaders and rivalry of the parties and emotions and these kinds of things. But anyway, just wanted to run that by you guys. Hope you're having a good day. Cheers and blessings. And remember, their order is not our order. See ya.